zoom in over here for me in a minute.
Okay.
Just, do this. Well, typically, it's like that when I tell you, Tom.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you can see me or not. Let's see here. Shit. It's got me turned sideways. Looks like I'm sideways. I'm doing it
Well,
the other way.
somebody just commented that you're 90 degrees out.
I noticed. I've done it this way before. I don't know why it's not doing that now. So that's the way this evening is going.
What are your whole days been?
Yep. Mhm.
Chill, go lay down. I'll get you something else to eat in a minute.
Just hold that right there for me, please. Thank you. I did a test a while ago and it worked perfectly. Now. Oh, it's recording. Okay. All right. Did it fall off? This is not doing well. All right.
Everybody's saying you're looking good.
All right, folks, I apologize for that. Tested everything landscape-wise earlier, and it was all good. So my apologies for that. And we are going to get started here momentarily. If any of you folks have coached athletics out there, and you know when you're doing through a pregame warm-up, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, then everything goes all to crud, and you're worried about how the game's going to go. This is it. Everything I've done this evening has gone really bad. So we're going to do our best to get through this. My apologies to Tim and everybody there who set this up. Casey, never had any issues like this before. Did a test run earlier this week. Everything went well. But all of a sudden today we get to Sunday, and I guess I can't compete with the NFL as far as things going perfectly today. Anyway, just a few little announcements before we get started here. Next week, Braden Miller will be tying. I don't know what Braden will be tying, but I'm sure it'll be something pretty big. It always is with Braden, and that's cool. Also, I want to let everyone know that on October the 16th at Tuckasegee Fly Shop in Waynesville, which is our new location, 110 Depot Street, Waynesville. And we are going to be doing a Norvise demo day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And also there will be a new product reveal. I have no clue what that product is yet, so I will see it as soon as you folks that attend that day will see it. So looking forward to that there as well. And this evening, basically what I'm going to do is going to go over a few little dry fly patterns for the fall here in Western North Carolina. And I want to keep it short and simple and sweet for you folks out there. And thank you folks for inviting me to your room. Share early, share often. If you have any comments, let me know. I'm doing my best to monitor this on the iMac, and like I said, everything's gone all to crud. I can't see anything, so I can see the video, but I can't see any comments. So imagine that. That's how life goes sometimes. So when he gives you lemon, we're going to make lemonade with it. So let's go ahead and hop in there and get started with this old rascal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be using a fulling mill. This here's a little super grub hook there. I'm going to throw this here in the vise and make a little caddis pattern for the fall. It's a neat little hook. I think it's often overlooked. They think about it for nymphs, but it's a super grub hook, FM 1160, and I'm going to be using a size 10. And the reason why I'm going to be using a size 10 is we have an October caddis that comes off here in Western North Carolina in the mountains. And that bug tends to be pretty big. A lot of folks, you know, they always think small and stuff like that, but this is a really, really good size bug. And I like to throw a bigger bug. And when you do that, it's real important that you also adjust your leader tippet combinations. One of the things I see in the shop and I counsel people on is making sure you have the right size leader tippet. To make sure that you can turn that fly over and get the best presentation you can. In my Nor-vise auto bombing, I do have some nano silk here. This is from Semperfly. It's a 50 denier and it is in an orange color. And I'm going to go ahead and attach that here to the hook. Go ahead and get that wrapped back here to the back. And what I'm going to do on this particular pattern is I'm actually going to take my dubbing down into the bend of the hook. And the reason why I'm going to do that is I want this to kind of extend down into the body, into the water. Because if you pay attention to the bugs and things like that, you know, they're not always setting perfectly on top of that water film. So we have to do our best to imitate that natural movement of the bug itself.
Norvise wants to know if there's anything else special happening on the demo day weekend.
Well,
and then they put a birthday cake.
Yeah. So last year I turned 50, so I'll be 51, and I think Tim actually turns 50 if I'm not mistaken. So don't want to misquote. Don't want to misquote at all on that, but there are a couple of birthdays for sure with that. So I'm going to take a little bit of Semperfly K-pot dubbing. This is a rust color. One of the other big misconceptions in the area on an October caddis is that they're really a bright orange color. And they're actually not. If you capture some of those bugs and you observe those bugs, they are actually more of a rusty orange, lighter colored body to them. And so what I'm going to do is do a little bit of dubbing back here at the back, this K-pock. And I did not spin that onto my thread using the rotary feature. I'm just going to do it this way here. I'm going to take a little bit of Whiting Farms rooster feather, and you know, part of this here is to kind of help with the buoyancy, but K-pot dubbing will suspend 30 times its weight. My wife is laughing, so I don't know what's going on.
Norvise said somebody will be turning 50 that weekend, but
Well,
he doesn't know who. I mean,
it won't be me. Unless I'm getting a mulligan on this past year. That's all I know. So, anyway, and it won't be Braden. Neither Braden. My Braden nor Miller Time Flies Braden, I don't believe. I don't know. Will Miss Miller be turning 50? One would know. I don't know. So I'm going to take a little bit more of this K-pock in the rust color. And I'm going to spin this onto the thread the conventional way. And there are still times that I do this depending on the pattern sometimes what kind of mood I'm in, to be real honest with you there. So I'm just going to kind of start wrapping this up here, kind of making the body of this fly. I'm going to go back over it just a little bit more, make that a little beefier. Feel free to certainly change these colors and change your threads up. It's kind of hard to follow Corey after last week's fantastic demo on the dubbing brush table there. So I got some tough shoes to kind of walk behind here today. So y'all kind of bear with me as everything's gone all to heck. But that's the way it is sometimes, right? Lord knows I probably pressed the wrong setting or something. It could be something that simple, but I've always done these in landscape mode, so my apologies. Actually, did a test on my personal page there momentarily to see, make sure everything was all right, and the purple squirrel gave me a thumbs up. So anyway, so now I'm going to use the rotary feature on my Norvise, and I am using the Legacy C in the Liberty Blue. It could be very close to a Carolina Panthers blue. It's a great color, and I also have the Magnum hubs. And if you don't have the Magnum hubs, you should really look into those. It's going to allow you to spin the vise with even more speed. It's just the mass that it brings to the table that really makes those hubs, stand out when it comes to performance. In my opinion, it's like, back in the 70s or so, if you you took a two barrel carburetor off your car and you put a Holley 4-barrel on it and you tinkered with the jets a little bit. That's kind of what happens when you do that. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my hair stacker, and I'm just going to grab some fine hair. This here is just this nice little patch here. I really like the color on this, and the reason why I like this color is because I can see it. And I think that's what's important about when you tie flies, is being able to see your fly on the water, and you have the creative freedom, as Bob Ross would say, to do things the way you want to. It's your own little fly, it's your own little world, so you do what you want to do. I'm going to cut me a small clump. I don't understand when they say pencil widths and things like that, but I'm going to take this hair about that much. Then I'm actually going to stack this here in my Dr. Slick hair stacker. That will be done off camera, of course. Just tapping that over here on this lovely desk that my wife designed for me. And we had to modify because we moved, but we made it happen. So now I'm going to take my hair. I'm going to go past the bend of the hook. I want this to be big. These bugs are big. That's important to to really to me to imitate that. It's going to help with floatability. I'm going to cordon my thread. I'm going to make some loose wraps, and then I'm going to pull up. I'm going to make that flare out like the Nature Boy. Now I'm going to wrap through those butt ends. I'm really going to bind that down just like so. And now I'm going to reach in, pull that back, and I got a nice clean eye of the hook. Just like that. I'm going to cord my thread once again, take my whip finisher, pull that back, whammo, lamma ding dong. That's all there is to it. So if you folks have a question or a comment, don't hesitate to rock those bad boys out.
They're asking, what is your leader formula for fall dry fly fishing?
Your leader formula for fall dry fly fishing should be, you should take your fly size, divide it by 3. That means that if you're throwing a size 12, you should be throwing a size 4 leader tippet combination where it stair steps down, it tapers down. And the reason why that's important, I want to reach in here and snap that so y'all get to see my fingers for a second. There. And the reason why you do that is if you are trying to throw a fly that is bigger than the strength of your tippet, your leader tippet.
Jill.
That's Jill. That's little Jill barking. If y'all heard Jill, she just wanted to chime in there momentarily. Give her 2 cents worth. And the reason why you do that is if you've ever been throwing a dry fly and you notice that your tippet has started to twist. Let's see here. Let's just say that, not a good color. Let's just say that, instead of it being straight, like this, it starts to really kind of start to twist up like this. It's because it's not strong enough to handle that fly being thrown through the air. So what happens is when this fly is going through your cast, it may land on the side, it could land upside down, but it's going to actually create more of an issue for you than being worried about it being the fish being lead or tippet shy, honestly. I feel that here in North Carolina in the Smokies, it's really tough to fish. But once you master, your presentation, your drift, and you're using the right materials, tools to the job you're doing, the easier it is to fish. You're doing yourself a grave injustice by trying to throw a fly this big on a 6X and 7X, but we see people do it all the time. And then they kind of wonder, why am I not catching fish and things? I was raised up throwing bigger dry flies, and we made our leaders using Maxima and different things like that, and we stair step those down using blood knots. It's a really, really good question. We could do a whole series on that. But if you use the right tool to cast this fly or a hop or whatever, and it turns over and it does what it's supposed to, and you do everything right, you stand a chance to fool a fish, and that's what it's all about. So right there, we kind of have my little version of one of the versions of an October caddis that I actually throw. I have a couple different ones, but that's one that I will throw. I can see it. The wings do a good job of dwarfing the body like your typical caddis do. I like the fact that I've got this body extended into the water, and with this whiting hackle and this nice hair, this fly is going to float really well there for me. So hopefully folks like that right
Brayden
there.
Miller says it's not all caps his mom.
Oh, well, fair enough. I didn't think it was, but I have to throw every option out there because I do not know. So I don't want to get in trouble, by saying one way or the other. So there you go. And that was this K-pop dubbing. And if you folks are not familiar with that, it is a super dubbing. Comes in a plethora of colors. If you have any questions or you're looking for any, you can contact me at the shop. We got a great selection of this there at the shop, and we can ship it out to you as well. Okay? So I'm going to change over here momentarily. I'm going to change out my threads, and we are going to tie another fly. I'm going to grab a bobbin with some classic wax orange, and it's going to be some Simplify as well. Got to grab another hook. And I told you, this is about as ill prepared as I've been for anything out there, so I appreciate y'all's patience. It's been about as wonky of an afternoon as all could get at here at the Messer House. So the next fly I'm going to tie is going to be a little bit bigger version. I'm going to use this hook a couple different times, but I'm using it's a Daiichi 1730, and the reason why I'm going to use this hook on a couple of patterns is that it's going to be a large minnow fly once again. This actually is a size 12. The original stimulator type pattern, you would actually take the hook and we would take a pair of pliers and we'd actually put a bend in the hook right up in here. So this hook here is already made with that bend in the hook. So it's a stronger hook, there of course. And I really like that. Even though it says, hey, it's a wet fly hook, it's a nymph hook, some of your flies that you tie with foam bodies, you use a much heavier hook so it turns over properly. Some of those finer wire hooks, they just don't work quite as well. So it's important that not only we talk about thread, we talk about lead or tippet, but you use the right hook for this specific fly that you're trying to tie or create. And that's where, trial and error kind of comes in a little bit when you're out there trying to maybe come up with a new pattern, and you're trying to see what's, going to work and things like that. So I'm going to lay me down a good little thread base here momentarily. This here's some Simperfly. It's a classic waxed, and it is in 8.0. The next material I'm going to use is I'm going to use that same hair once again. Nice little patch. I really like to go through the hair that I get and just really dial in on that.
Somebody says, I love those hooks in Dariki.
Dariki, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. There's some really awesome hooks out there, and then there's some crappy hooks. I'm a firm believer you get what you pay for, and a lot of times people skimp on some things, but what's the last thing what's the connection point between you and the fish? The hook is what makes contact with the fish's mouth, and if that's not a quality item, then you've done yourself an injustice. Let's say you got a good hook, but you're not using the right leader and tippet, and you go to set that hook, whammo, it breaks that cuss. So you've done it screwed up at that point in time too. Yeah. Oh, faster than a NASCAR pit crew. I don't know, man. Hey, next year they're going to the one lug nut to keep up with Big Mess, man, when it comes to spinning that bad boy on. So going to stack a little bit of hair here for my tail.
What was the hair again here?
It's like a little bit of fine deer hair, Michael. I've had this patch for a while. It's real short. It's fine. I just like the colors on it. And for me, honestly, it's because I can see it really well. We've already gotten we've already had some deer meat and harvested some bucktail and some stuff like that so far, this year. And, depending on when the deer's harvested, where it's harvested at, will really determine how good the hair is if you try to tan some hair yourself. And that's one way to really, if you hunt, is to use all the material of the animal, is to really dial that in. And, if you do a lot of archery hunting, which I like to do, or used to do quite a bit between here and Canada, up there, you could really get some really nice hair, tan that out and have control over that. But Nature Spirit, they do a good job of some quality materials, and other folks out there, but it always depends on how active the hunters are. And last year with COVID and all that kind of stuff like that, and some lockdowns in certain areas, and you start to look, how much of those materials are available, were people allowed to hunt, and that has really affected the inventory at the fly shops based upon availability of getting those materials from hunters and things like that too. Feathers, gosh, we know what feathers are like. So, anyway, you see me right there. I took another rooster feather, brown. That's what's lying here, so that's what I got. It worked out well. I'm not going to be too dang picky with it, okay? The next material I'm going to use is this pretty cool stuff, and this really takes me back to when I first started flying, tying flies, not flying, but tying flies a long time ago. And this here is some Simperfly dry fly poly yarn. This particular color here is a sunburst orange. It's an excellent color. Fished this pattern the other day, guided this pattern the other day, got some pretty good strikes up top, and I really like it. Floats really well, but it takes me back down a memory lane of when we would just go and grab the yarns and things like that we had lying around, and that's how you came up with your flies. So I'm going to take this material here, lie it in on the top of the hook itself, just like so. Whammo. And if you noticed, I did not put any wire. Probably 90% of the time, I do not put wire on my caddis or my stimulators. Like if you do it well, they're going to hold up. So I'm going to take my little hair clip. I'm going to get this hackle here out of the way. And once again, my apologies on this thing not being landscape and taking you out on a thrill ride. So next thing I want to do is I'm going to start doing side-by-side wraps with this material. It's going to be a great, awesome looking body. And I'm going to come up here till about the bend point, right there. Just like that. I'm going to take my thread, bring it off my bobbin post. And if you're not using a Norvise and you're watching,